incredible introduction, and I'm super, super, super excited to be here with all of you. I was reading your introductions here as I was, Linda was talking, they were coming up, and I love the diversity. You come from all over the world. I was reading that, Linda, you are in Australia. I actually lived in Sydney, Manly Beach, for a year. A beautiful place, and I know a lot of you. I love to read, and normally I go back and I read more later because there's only so much time right now. But thank you, Linda. So today, first of all, I want to really thank you for being here. I know that in most places in the world, it's getting kind of warmer. It's, spring is here. I mean, I actually happen to live in Arizona, which means, spring here is like summer anywhere else in the world. It's super hot already. We're already kind of nearing our 3-digit kind of temperatures. But I know that, wherever you are in the world, like there are so many things that you could do right now. You could, probably you have busy businesses, you have families. Some of you might have kids. Which, by the way, I do have kids, and I need to thank my little 3-year-old for being a little bit under the weather today. I was just sharing that with Linda before starting. So, normally, I jumped on this meeting with Linda, and Linda is like so glamorous with her like beautiful lipstick and hair done, etc. And today I feel a little bit like I just jumped out of bed, which I didn't. But I look like this because my beautiful son shared with me a little stomach bag. So I'm sorry for being a little bit more casual than normal, but you can thank my 3-year-old. Great. So today I actually prepare something that is about really scaling a business holistically. We will have these roundtables monthly. And I thought, we have actually an 8-pillar scaling blueprint that we have put together. I'm going to tell you all about today. And I thought, how about we go through these 8 pillars today? And I wanted them to understand from the community what are the topics that might be of biggest interest so that we can start to cover them then more and more in depth in the future months, right? So I thought that would be a good thing. I hope you will enjoy. So let me just share my slides with you. You should see them here. Now, little disclaimer, I had no idea Linda would do this beautiful introduction for me. So here I had actually a few facts about me that we can probably skip right now. Most of these things in the meantime, because she introduced me. And as she said, over the last few years, I've been traveling the world and sharing the stage with some amazing people, just incredible people. Again, this was an event in Singapore with Sir Richard Branson, and then this was in Tel Aviv with Tony Robbins. And just about 2 years ago, we actually, so my husband and I run the company together, and we met a partner called Jessica Shelley. Here we are all 3 together. And we created a new brand that is really just focused on scaling companies. So a lot of the trainings out there are focused on, starting up a business, getting your first client, getting your branding done. And we said, well, but after you have all these things in place, which most of you have, like what comes afterwards? Like, how do you actually scale a brand? Now, more than just that, as you see, this is about lifestyle businesses. And that's because I actually come. So first of all, you all shared where you come from. So originally I come from Italy. This is, the reason for the accent. In my family, I actually watched my dad over the years as I was growing up, literally working himself almost to death. I mean, luckily, he didn't go all the way. But as I was growing up, he was running his own 8-figure company. So he was running a 10 million euro company, and he got it there just really out of hard work. And he was determined to scale it up. And he wasn't able to kind of go beyond this 10 million euro in revenue. But he tried everything he could. He tried so much. He was working day and night. It was totally unsustainable. It was totally not working for our family. It was totally not working for his health. So much that at some point, he ended up, one morning, I ended up waking up to discover that he was in the hospital because he had had a heart attack during the night. Well, that has been a really, turning point in my life. First of all, personally, of course, I mean, my dad going through something so intense, and I'm an only child. So, my parents going through something so intense, I didn't have a lot of siblings to share that with. And then professionally, because that's actually the moment I started my entrepreneurial journey. So my dad got told by the doctors that he needed to take 6 months out of work, out of anything, like just really focused on his health. And that left the question of who would run the company. And this is where, in my naive 19-year-old version, which, Linda, you made me smile today, as you said that I look 20. I definitely don't. You should have seen me at 20. But in my naive 20-year-old version, I said, I will do it. How difficult can it be to run a company that has been already set up? I can just take it over and run with it. Well, turns out, of course, after a little while, I discovered that was not the case. And it was much more difficult than that. And that really got me into this amazing journey of understanding business, understanding, how to actually get a business going. And funny enough, although, I knew already what had happened to my dad, you would think that I wouldn't make the same mistakes, right? I mean, that's kind of like what everybody thinks. It's like, well, you went through that already with your dad, you have seen it, you're not going to do the same thing. Turns out I wasn't that smart. So a few years into that amazing journey, I actually, had coaches and consultants and advisors, because I understood very early that there was no way I could have done it alone. Like I tried, didn't work. Put a 19-year-old in an office with 100 people to manage and $10 million a year in revenue to actually kind of secure, wasn't working. So I had advisors, consultants, things actually turned around. They turned around so much that we were actually growing. And yet I was replacing my dad in everything you can think of, including the way he was running his business. So much that a few years into this amazing experience, I ended up actually in the hospital being told that I needed to take 6 months out to focus on my health. Now, for very different reasons, and it wasn't a health crisis. It was more of an accident. But I do believe that it was the universe somehow telling me that what I was doing wasn't sustainable and that I needed to take care of my health in a different way. So that got me actually on this journey of understanding, how do you scale sustainably? Like, how do you scale a business without becoming, normally we say a slave to the business, right? I mean, not that you really become a slave, but how do you scale without sacrificing your personal life, your family life, your health in order to grow that business? And this has gotten me into this amazing journey. And again, 2 years ago, together with Kane and Jessica, we actually started this brand, Elevate, about that. So Elevate is a brand that helps you scale up your business while upscaling your lifestyle, because we believe that business owners shouldn't sacrifice their lifestyle for the business. It should instead be kind of something that serves them, right? So here, let me share with you our scaling system so we can go through it and we can discuss it. For some reason, one sec. I will get you going here in a moment. So when we met Jessica, Jessica actually was very passionate about that as well. She came from the tech industry. She had been advising companies to grow to 8- and 9-figure businesses for a long time. Me with my background, my husband has just as an amazing background as both of us. So we came together and we said, we need to create something new and fresh that will help business owners, and specifically really service business owners. Like, again, if you're a coach, a consultant, if you're like, how do you scale? How do you get beyond actually trading your time for money? What are the steps? What are the things that you need to start to pay attention to in order to make sure you kind of get out of that wheel where you keep, kind of spinning and never getting out. So let's see if this works now. Not quite, but it should charge in a moment. This is my little iPad here that for some reason has been missing battery. In the meantime, I will tell you about that, and I will show you the graphics in just a moment. So it turns out the first step that we have identified to really scaling a business successfully has to do with something that we're doing right now, which is it's about digital transformation, right? I mean, in the last 2 years have taught us so much. I mean, I remember March 2020, as Linda told you, and as well as, you might have seen in my slide, like we did over 2,000 live in-person events in the last 10 years, 2,000 events. And then March 2020 hit, and there were no live events at all anymore. So that changed a lot of what we were planning to do. And that changed a lot of the modality that we were using in order to actually reach clients, reach partners, really get our message out there and help people, with our message, with our methodology, with our trainings, etc. And it really forced us to pivot. Now, we knew that we had to pivot for a while. And I think that many of you might have been in the same situation. And I know that many of our students say the same thing, right? We knew that was coming. We knew that needed to happen for a while, that we needed to embrace more of virtual. And yet there was a resistance. And it was kind of like, how can I say? It was kind of comfortable, right? We knew it was coming, but we didn't really need to do it right now. And so why taking time to do something that, it's not immediate urgency? So we kind of procrastinated on that. Now, March 2020 hit, there was no procrastination anymore. I think everybody got a Zoom account. I mean, we had it already, but everybody kind of started to be like, how do we use this thing to connect with the world, right? Whether as a participant, as a presenter, as a one-on-one coach, like how does it work? How can I stay connected with my community? And so this is really the first thing, like digital transformation. How can we bring our company online as much as possible? Now, today, of course, that needs to merge again, right? We're going through a new transition with some more in-person things. We went from total in-person, total virtual, and now it's about bringing these two worlds together. And there are a lot of things that we are learning about what works and what doesn't work. How do hybrid events work? What instead is, some mistakes that really make the events kind of be killed, but as well, again, for one-on-one coaching, we've had people running all sorts of events online, including like dinners where they were sending dinners to everybody's house, and then everybody was getting in front of the computer. And of course, there is the fact that this will never replace the real thing completely, but we need to understand how can we embrace it in our business. What are the parts that we can actually automate with virtual? Where can we make our life easier? Where can we actually, leverage more our time, our input, our effort in order to create more, so that we can create, more results with less effort? I mean, this whole idea is, again, scale up your business while upscaling your lifestyle. And so, we're not talking about totally having just a laptop lifestyle, but it's about what are the technology out there right now are amazing. And we can talk more about that even in future roundtables about anything that can really help us make our life easier as business owners. So how do we capitalize on that opportunity in order to make really our life easier? So this is our first pillar, and this is digital transformation. From there, then we have our second pillar, which is optimization. So how do we look at our companies, at all the things that we do every single day, and we understand how can we optimize? How can we optimize our effort? Let's see if this works now. Not yet. How can we optimize our efforts? How can we optimize, our, the time that we spend, and sometimes even our team, right? If you have, an assistant, if we have, maybe, somebody that helps us with marketing or with social media, or even, down to the invoicing, etc. How can we systematize everything in a way that really makes, our processes much easier? I'm actually right now advising an amazing woman out of the Bay Area in San Francisco, and she runs a 7-figure business. And she came to me to say exactly that. She says, "Hey, I have 2 young kids." And, she was so sweet, because on a call, she told me, "Alessia, I need to understand, I have these 2 young kids, and I know that I only got one chance with them," which I thought was so sweet. But she says, "So my business, I have a 7-figure business. It grew around me. Although I have a little team, like I am involved in most of the things. And this means that, the more we grow, the less time I have. And I can't work like this. If it works like this," she said, "if it works like this, I'm closing." And I said, well, okay, let's work on actually getting it, to work different. And so we are right now, meeting with our team, understanding how to create systems so that things can be more, automatized, and therefore she can have more of her time back. She can be there as the brand. She can do, for every one of you, there is something that you bring to the business that you can't replace it. There is no tech, there is no team member, but then there are other things that instead can be delegated. They can be systematized. They can, maybe run easier, smoother, faster with some technology. So that's exactly what we are going to do with her, what we're doing right now with her and her team. How do we optimize what is right there? Because there is no possibility to scale really until we have this piece in place, right? If we scale a company that doesn't have systems, we just get so busy, again, just like Jenny was experiencing, like so busy that we don't have a life anymore. And that's no fun. That's when we lose our excitement about our business. Then the third thing is about scaling marketing. And although there is a lot of attention out there about really, kind of ad buying and, doing all these great like paid marketing, strategies, what we have been focusing more on is really how do we scale marketing in a more organic way? Because in our experience, small business owners don't normally have a huge marketing budget, right? Most of you feel like, you don't have that much to even invest in there. So if the only strategy is getting ads, then, it's kind of like a catch-22, like what do we do? So here is what we focus on mostly. It is, first of all, organic, and we use a lot of LinkedIn. We train our participants and our students and our clients a lot in LinkedIn, using LinkedIn to actually organically grow. And then the second one, what Linda was talking about earlier on, is really this promotional partnership piece. Because if we find other businesses that have in their list, in their database, right, on their social media, the type of clients that we are trying to reach, and they can invite us, then, we can reach them in a much easier way. Plus, I'm very transparent. So just so, like, for example, like if you see what is happening here, right? I mean, you could be sitting here or you could be doing something like that for any other company out there. When we jumped on, like Linda did this amazing introduction, and what she did, like what we train our students as well to do, is she essentially took the trust that you all already have in herself and in leadership, right? Because you might have known her for a while, and she transferred that to me because I'm totally new. Like you had no idea who I was until about 28 minutes ago. So what she did was she transferred that trust. Now, what that means is that if it's you doing that, like you could go into databases, you could go into community, just like leadership, and you can, present about your own programs, your own mentoring, your own coaching services, etc. Instead of having a cold and kind of skeptical audience that sits there thinking, who is this person? What do they want to tell me? Are they really the real deal or not? Instead, you walk into a room that is already warm. It's already kind of excited to see you. Is already trusting you. And we know that trust is a very important piece in order to actually be able to sell, which is what you all want to do when you get a promotional partnership. You want to actually get in front of people to sell more of your services and products. So this really makes the whole thing easier. And it's more scalable, in our opinion, for small business owners, because, again, you don't have actually to have a budget in order to get going. You just find a partner, again, that has the same target market that you are trying to reach, somebody that ideally is offering something is not competitive to what you're offering, right? And then you work together on organizing an event, for example, merging it together with our first pillar of digital transformation. You put up your Zoom and you create a nice, virtual event. Just tomorrow morning at 8 a.m., I am actually facilitating an event with a partner that is in Dubai, and she has a community of women business owners, and they have all declared that they want to learn how to scale their revenue. She doesn't teach that. She actually teaches community building. And so she reached out and she said, hey, can you come in and actually teach them that? And then maybe see if they want to join your programs, because they said that they want that, but I can give it to them, right? So imagine how many people there are out there that, may have their clients asking them for something that they're not an expert in, but you are. And so if you reach them and if you create these partnerships, then they can actually send them to you, and you can have a flow of leads that you don't need to pay for upfront. I mean, you do need to pay for it, meaning normally there is some sort of revenue share, right? There is a split of the revenue created, but you don't have the risk, because when you put an ad on Facebook, you need to pay. And normally not just for one, right? Normally you have a whole budget that you put in, and a whole bunch of leads come in. You have no idea whether they're buying or not. You're paying either way, whether they convert or not, you have that expense. Instead, with partnerships, you only give them a percentage of the money that you have already received. So it completely cancels and puts the risk to zero. So that's why we focus on this specific type of marketing to help small businesses grow, because we know that as you scale, one thing that very often happens that we will actually talk about later on is that many companies, as they scale, they experience a little bit of a cash flow crunch, right? They are cash flow poor because you are scaling. You might be getting new team members. You might getting, doing different activities. And so although you are scaling, you are bringing in more money, but you are as well growing your team, growing your expenses. So very often you might experience in hyper growth moments, you might expect that you have a lot of cash in the bank. Instead, very often you have less cash than you would think. And that's why these strategies become so important. Awesome. This goes hand in hand, like really like this, with the fourth pillar, which is about monetization. And monetization, it's about different ways. We actually mapped out about 15 different ways to scale revenue, as Linda was saying before. So we talk about everything from creating, low ticket funnels to instead creating high ticket offers, to starting new scaled coaching divisions, to starting to create a certification program, and all sorts of other ways to actually scale the revenue. Because a lot of small businesses and a lot of coaches, consultants, trainers, authors, etc., might have found one thing that works, and that's great. And you should, we never suggest that you stop doing what is working. You should always keep doing that. But very often there are many other things that could be connected to that could bring in different streams of revenue that you might just not either be kind of aware of right now, because maybe you know about it. You know how many things we know about that we actually don't put in action every day. I mean, imagine about our health, and about the world and the environment. We know so much about what we should do, and then we go out and we buy the plastic toy for the child, and as if we buy it. Yesterday my son, I took him to a store because I needed to get something, and he saw this little like plastic microphone, and I was in such a rush, like I just needed to get going. So I said, okay, no problem, we buy it. And as I was walking then to the car with that plastic thing, I thought, oh my gosh, like, right? We know so much, we know so good, and then we don't do it. So we really work on kind of mapping out the options, and then coaching and advising, our students or our private clients on really how to put that in place, in a strategical way, so that it gets done. And it's not just something that we know, but it's something that we do. Because, I learned a long time ago that what we know doesn't give us any results, but what we do does. So we need to align what we know and what we do if we want to create tangible results. So that's about monetization, which is our fourth pillar. Then we have, again, a system automation, more from a technology point of view, like really looking at our, our CRM system, our payment system, right? I mean, I was working with a client of mine, and at some point, like she was telling me that she was behind in invoicing for a lot of months. And I said, so what do you use? She said, well, I actually write the invoices. And, and then I need to follow up. And then I was like, whoa, okay, let's talk about that, right? And this is just one example. And you might be super awesome with invoicing. And then there might be other systems, anything from, we got all super familiar recently, again, during these last 2 years. Everybody now has a Calendly link and a Quiddly link, something to schedule, right? Before we used to do it, manually. And how much time did that consume? And there are like about 1,000 things that we do in our business that we can actually systematize with tech. But again, very often, either we are not present to that, we are not aware about the solutions, or we feel sometimes there is a little bit that belief like, oh, it's complex and I don't want to take on more complexity because, I'm already complex enough in my business. And the fact is that when we do it with some guide, it's actually very easy, and it allows us as well to really save a lot of time and really get our time back. From there, our sixth pillar is about leadership. And I think that I'm in the right community to talk about that and the importance of leadership. And here's the fact: a lot of small business owners think that leadership is not really that relevant to them because they say, I don't have a team to lead. And what we have found over the last, again, 20 years, really, we have trained in person, hundreds of thousands of business owners, is that you are not a leader because you have a team, but you get a team because you show up as a leader, right? So even if it's just us right now, leading ourselves, isn't that the hardest thing? Really understanding, how to show up. First of all, we show up as leaders, anything we do, right? You are giving a presentation and you need to show up as a leader in your industry with your topic, with, your content, etc. You're in a sales meeting, same thing. Like it's the whole thing is a leadership conversation, right? Are you the leader that I can trust that will take me to the place I want to go, that will help me get the results that I want, that will help me as well see the blind spots that I don't see, that will be, honest, authentic, and really committed enough to not let me slip through the cracks of my own sabotage patterns and beliefs, etc. Because, that's really what we're searching for, especially when we look for, again, a mentor, an advice, a coach, something like a consultant. Like, again, many people say, I already know what I need to do. Imagine in health, right? We know what we need to do, and we're looking for somebody that can really guide us, can really be that leader that helps us put these things into action, achieve the results that we want, doesn't allow us to get in our own way, because that's, what we're actually working against most times. And so that's really the other part. And then, of course, we talk as well in leadership about how do we, start to scale into teams. And we talk about everything from, how do we lead these teams from, really more of a, personality, like what might be our leadership style, what are some, how do we actually embrace the leadership style or create sometimes the leadership style that we want to have? Because, again, very often, I get, asked even on interviews and stuff like that, like, which one is the leadership style that you like or that you adopt? And I'm like, well, I feel like today it's not about choosing one versus the other. Like, it's not like a white and black answer. It's not like, right and wrong. It's more about like, we have all these different options and we need to become flexible enough to use whatever thing is more relevant, more effective for what we're doing in that specific moment, right? I always say it's a little bit like if you are a handyman and we get to a house, if we only have one toolbox, there's only so many tools we will be able to have in that toolbox. And chances are that if we need something that is not inside of the toolbox, we can probably not properly take care of the job. But imagine if instead we arrive with like 5, 6, 10 toolboxes, all full of slight different, tools. And then as we, stand in front of the job that, we got that day, we can say, great. So what's the best? In which toolbox do I find this, the best tool for this specific job? And then we don't need to actually compromise anymore. And we can achieve much better results and leave everybody much happier, especially ourselves, because, as leaders, one of the things is that we want to feel good about what we do. And most of the business owners that we work with are really kind of inspired by changing the world, by doing something great, by helping people, by empowering people around them. So giving them those tools really helps them make this happen. Then our pillar number 7, it's what we call growth through acquisition. And here is where we start to kind of put our big pants on, and we start to train our clients and our students about the fact that sometimes there are some assets that you might need to have in your business. You understand that you need to have, I don't know, maybe a Facebook community, or maybe you need to have, some IP and content, etc. Maybe you need to have all sorts of different things, right? Well, you don't always need to create them and build them yourself. So often there are actually businesses out there that have already created it. And so how about you start to think more about, like an investor that starts to look around, like which business has a piece that I might need to have, and how can I acquire it? And it doesn't always mean, it's not always an exchange of money, but we look at many different ways that we can actually acquire assets or businesses without having necessarily to actually, put any money out of our own pocket, either by pulling together, different players for that deal, or by offering something else instead of money, right? And, for example, in many of the communities that you are in, even here, right, on some levels, this roundtable needs to have content. And instead of Linda starting to create content herself, she went out and said, who has content that can fill this hour, can make my community happy, and I can leverage my time and grow my business in a different way instead of having to create everything myself. And I know that she has so many events in her community, and some of them she leads them because she has already that content. But then in order to scale faster, she has actually found ways to partner with other experts, bring them in, everybody plugs in their own genius, and the business can grow much faster. So start to think about, for you, if you need different things done in your business, it's not always the best solution to think I'm going to go out and create it. Sometimes it's better to say, who has it already? And how can I maybe partner with them, find a way to acquire it, find a way to actually be able to use that asset without having to create it? Because creating assets, creating IP, creating communities, it's very effortful, because a lot of time, sometimes depending on what you're trying to create, it can cost a lot of money, right? And the idea of scaling is to start to reduce that time, really leverage everything that we do. So this is our 7th pillar. And then our last one is cash flow. And here's really where we start to talk about how do we manage our cash flow powerfully. Because a lot of business owners, again, find themselves, and first of all, cash flow, we always think that as we grow our business, it will go like this. And we will have just more and more money in our bank account, which is a beautiful story that we tell ourselves. And it rarely happens this way because, normally what happens is that cash flow kind of goes like this. And you kind of have, more at some point. And then because you have more, you feel like, well, I can make that investment. I can, sponsor that event. I can get into that marketing campaign. I can get, buy that time on stage somewhere, whatever, right? And then it goes down again. And then you need to build it back up. And so how do we manage those cash flow cycles responsibly, and as well, in a way that we find empowered? Because as we interviewed hundreds of thousands of business owners, very often we have felt like business owners feel like, that's just something that happens to them, but they kind of have almost no control and no quite, deep understanding about how to really take control about that, plan, make sure that they feel kind of some sort of safety, protection, I don't know, like some sort of being able to kind of know what is coming, right? Because as business owner, very often people say, well, I know what's happening this month, but I kind of need to create it all over next month, and I don't know what cash flow I will have. So again, making investments, making commitments, planning becomes difficult. So in this specific pillar, we really help business owners take control about these conversations around cash flow and start to be able to plan, predict, and manage what they have in a way that makes them feel more empowered. I will see right now if this now works, and it still doesn't work. It's incredible, isn't it? Wow. Still hasn't come back online. I don't know, probably my cable at this point, I need to think, is probably not working. But we will send you, I will ask Linda to send you this so that you can have it later on. You can have the whole graphic. But anyway, the 8 pillars here are digital transformation, optimization, scaling marketing, monetization, system and automation, leadership, growth through acquisition, and cash flow. And so thinking about these 8 pillars here, which one actually spikes more of your kind of curiosity, or you feel like it's more relevant for you? You feel like, it's more, it's something that you need to put more attention on. Maybe you're already working on it. Maybe you're like, well, that's exactly what I've been focused on recently. And so, I'm kind of like already halfway there. Which one? Okay, automation. Number 3, so scaling marketing, says Sam. Thank you. Because I want to actually understand again, what should we cover for the upcoming sessions. I would like to do one session on each one of these pillars to really be able to go deeper, right? And start to actually look at the how-tos, the strategies, the things that we need to pay attention to, instead of just doing something out of what I think it's interesting. I thought, how about we actually talk about that and we poll the room and understand what would be more exciting, more relevant. Awesome. Scaling marketing, monetization, and cash flow. I like that. Seeing the type of promotional partnership I'm seeking coming to life right here is making me very happy. Oh, I love that, Sam. That's great. And this is an amazing community, right? I mean, you are all connected to each other, and many of you work with similar target markets on different things, right? Helping them achieve different results. So I'm sure that even here we are only, it's only about 15 of you, but, in the whole leadership community, you could probably start to find promotional partners pretty fast. Now, the beautiful thing about promotional partnerships is that it's actually, a win-win situation where, you are looking for promotional partners because you are looking to get leads that will convert into clients. And again, you want to reduce your cost up front, your risk. But your partner that is introducing you to these people will actually get something amazing as well, because they will have essentially like a passive-ish income coming from that, right? Now, for example, let's assume, and I don't know you that well, but let's assume that, I don't know, Tony goes to Linda and says, hey, Linda, let's do a promotional partnership. And let's assume, because I don't know you, that Tony and Linda have the same target market and offer something different, just for this example. So Tony goes to Linda and says, hey, Linda, let's do a promotional partnership. Linda says, yay, okay. What do you need me to do? And I don't know, Tony could have, a program that she's looking to fill up, or she could be looking for private clients, right? So she could actually say, I'm looking for private clients. That's what I'm looking for. Whatever it is, Linda can say, great, well, I might have some people in my database that might be interested in that. So how do we do it? Now, one thing that we will look more, more in depth as well as we go through, again, one day, during one of these roundtables, we will go directly into that pillar more in depth. But one thing just for you to notice, and you can write it down if you're looking at actually taking something away, is that ideally you don't ask promotional partners to promote directly to a sales page or to a direct sale. Because imagine if Linda here, right, closes a partnership with Tony and a partnership with Jennifer and a partnership with Sam and a partnership with Kathy and so on, so on. And like every month she's sending out content to her database, and every month she's sending like direct sales things. It doesn't take long for her, database to understand what game is she playing and stop opening her emails altogether, because they're like, well, no, when Linda writes us, we constantly get sold to. No fun, right? Nobody likes that. So instead, Tony says, hey, I have something free. Now that could be an event. I mean, these days it's very often an event, right? So she could say, I'm going to do a 1-hour webinar for free. And so Linda can go to her database saying, hey, I met this amazing woman in a community that I'm in, and she actually passionate to service, people exactly like you. She helps people achieve these results. And because we are friends, because we connected, because we share this passion, she has agreed to do a completely free event webinar. And because you are my community, you're all invited to that. So these people are just registering, right? And so now Tony shows up to a webinar that is full of people. Ideally, Linda actually shows up there too, just like, Linda Fisk today showed up here. And Linda does the same thing that, funny enough, same name that Linda Fisk did here this morning and today. And she shows up and she says, hey, you should meet Tony because Tony is amazing. And these are her achievements. And I already love her. And I'm so excited to introduce her to my community. I know she will contribute so much, right? So she transferred that trust. And then Tony goes on, does her thing, delivers value, a couple of systems. And at the end, she says, if you would like to know how to, achieve these results, I'm actually looking right now for private clients. It's by application only. This is the link. Apply here. I will have a 30-minute call with you. And if you're a fit, we become clients. Now, this happens during the webinar. Afterwards, Tony has her calls or whatever. She sends a link, whatever, if it's a program, maybe she puts a link and people already buy, whatever sales process, that's, different thing. But what happens then is that Tony goes and looks at all the people that signed up that came from Linda's database. And depending on what they had negotiated, she actually metaphorically writes a check, because I don't know if we write checks anymore, right? But she probably PayPal's, Venmos, Stripes, whatever, money directly into Linda's bank account. And so by sending out a few emails and showing up to a webinar introducing Tony, Linda made some money and she doesn't even have to service these people, which is pretty amazing for a service business, because, most service businesses, the problem is like every time we sell something, we have to service them, which means there is only so much we can sell because there is only one of us. So that's the beauty of that, Tony, in this case, gets clients. So she is happy. Linda gets, money. So she is happy. Now, this is not even all, because then Linda could go back to Tony and say, hey, that was great. How about now you give me visibility to your database? And so the cycle starts again, where Tony now sends out a free thing. They show up. Tony edifies Linda. Linda does her own thing, sells, gets money in, takes a percentage, sends it to Tony. And so everybody wins. That's why we're so passionate about this type of marketing, because again, it creates actually a great community of business owners that are working together to grow everybody's business. All right. It's not like, well, I'm asking for a favor and, I feel bad about that because I'm asking to kind of tap into somebody else's network. They have spent time to nurture. No, they're happy, even because every one of you probably have, and every business has, clients that, for example, have, you might have been working with them and they're kind of done, right? Not because, you're awesome. And at some point, the work that you do with people is done, right? They went through your programs or they work with you privately. And at some point they say, look, I love you, but, I'm ready to move on to something else. And so you have all these people there that, there is nothing more to do. So if you start to introduce them to other people, you can keep monetizing your database in different ways. You need to be careful, of course, like who do you introduce to, right? That's why these communities are great, because you get to know each other, right? You have some sort of community that, helps you understand, like, are these real players? You get them to know them, through several months, years, etc. And therefore you start to understand who could be a good match, right, for your database. And then that's really where the magic happens. And again, you will see that if you start to actually notice that, you will see that all around you, because it's happening a lot, because it's a great way to get new clients, new leads. And again, small companies and big companies, they're all using it. Last thing that I will tell you is that for Valentine's, my husband got me some earpods. The brand is Beats, so completely separated from another brand I'm going to talk about. So I opened it, beautiful little box, like black. Today they make these things look like almost like jewelry, right? They probably cost almost like jewelry as well. So I opened it and there were all sorts of stuff. And then at some point I saw a little thing that said, try for free. And I thought, what can I try for free? And so I took it up and there was a little thing that said, try Apple Music for free for a month. Apple Music, Apple is a pretty big company. I did not buy an Apple product. So why was it there? Because they are looking as well to add, in that case, kind of users. That's how they call them, right? Not clients. But they're looking to actually add clients, we call them, to their company. And instead of going, putting ads everywhere. They partner with another company that has similar values, that is servicing a similar target market, that has a complementary offer, because now I have earpods. They say, well, you want to listen to music, you can do it for free on our platform. And then, they start that relationship. And of course, the whole idea is that in those 30 days, they try to upsell, the lead into a paid offer. So you will see, like, this is not just for small businesses, it's all around, right? All around. Big and small companies, once they understand that, they start to use it, because it's just a great way to get clients just in a different way than kind of paying for them. Awesome. So looks like we are concluding our hour here together. And unfortunately, I have a hard stop at the end of the hour here, because I have another training. Like, this week is crazy. I have a training now. A training this afternoon, 2 tomorrow morning, 1 on Wednesday, and 1 on Thursday. So I'm really I hope this stomach bug won't get any worse. And actually, I will totally recover immediately. If not, it will be a very long week for me. Anyway, I love connecting with you today. I hope you enjoyed the meeting. Did we enjoy the meeting? No? Yes? No? Awesome. Great. Not that you could have done anything else than saying yes, right? That's one of those social proof situations where you're like, well, what should I do? Anyway, I look forward to seeing you next month. And based on what I'm seeing here, I think we might be looking probably at going even deeper into partnership, right? And then, we will go into other topics. The following months, we have these 8 things that I want to just explore deeper, so that you can start to use them as well. And if you want to connect with me on LinkedIn, some of you after the last roundtable have already found me and connected. Just let me know. And if you are looking to scale your business and you want any advice, etc., let me know as well. That's what I do day in and day out. Really, I love helping female founders, female entrepreneurs, really scaling their business and taking their passion to another level. I know that when that happens, a lot of people win, not only the business owner, but the family and the community, and as well all the clients that finally get access to that amazing support that they're looking for. So I look forward to